Hey everybody, it's FLF here with a brand new video. This video is going to be a lot different than the other videos that I've come out with. Aside from music and doing those longer format Light of Babylon videos, one of the things I thought would be really valuable is to do formats or video formats that are different. I could be a little bit more real time with my reactions or responses to some of the stuff that's happening. The videos that I'm typically producing usually take quite a bit of research, development. I want to look into the topic and be very well versed on it. I want to be able to overcome arguments on the contrary, so I try to be as thorough as possible. And when you're diving into something like the complete catalog of The Weeknd, for example, or you're discussing a Lil Nas X video, it can take a lot of time because there's so many layers and there's so much to dig into. These videos are going to serve, I think, more as a quick take of what's going on in the culture related to music and hip hop, pop music, and give a quick synopsis of what we're seeing and what we're kind of observing and just break that down. So I'm excited to react and give some thoughts on these new songs, these new artists, and these new trends that are being pushed by the mainstream culture. So let's dive into it. The first artist I want to kick off with is this guy, the Kid LAROI. Now, I might be pronouncing his name wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry about that, but I noticed that he actually had come out with a new, I think a remix project called F Love Savage, and what stood out to me about that is that when you look for the actual album cover, it's literally just him with devil horns. Now, again, I don't have enough time to go into the content of the music, but it's literally just this guy with devil horns. Why? I don't understand it. Is he trying to say that he's a devil or something like that, or make the implication that he's the bad guy? Not entirely sure. But right off the bat, that imagery is pretty shocking, I think, personally, to see. And then for people to have this playing on their phone, or they buy the album, put it up somewhere, if they're buying shirts with the album cover, it just seems a little bit, I don't know, demonic is probably the way I would describe it. Looking at some of his other projects, you see kind of a similar thing. F Love 3, it looks like he's being kind of pulled out of his bed like a possession. Kind of crazy stuff, right? And remind you, this kid I think is 17 years old. This is a relatively young guy that's being already puppeted and manipulated to push these different messages and themes. A lot of people will say this is just horror, shock value, whatever the case is. But I've noticed that he's done a lot of songs also with Juice WRLD, who passed away a few years back. And if you saw my take on Juice WRLD, it's kind of the same thing with the 666 being inverted, a lot of satanic messaging in some of his songs, and overall just kind of that same vibe or that same lane that we see people like XXXTentacion, Juice WRLD, Lil Peep, and other artists in that same vein. So this kind of here is very reminiscent to me of that same kind of imagery. Something else worth noting as well is that he does use a 5-point star in his logo. Anyone that's familiar with that 5-point star knows that the 5-point star is really tied into a pentagram, which is used in satanic worship, witchcraft, all that kind of thing. And I mean, 5-point stars are used on a lot of different things, so I'm not going to sit here and say this is a direct correlation or we should be totally, you know, opposed to this just because it's using a 5-point star, but more so just one more element that we're kind of seeing how these different elements or areas tie in together. Again, up on the docket, another pretty common name that I've been seeing a lot for the last few years, and more specifically recently with the Super Bowl, The Weeknd, right? So The Weeknd, it's again coming out with a brand new song called Take My Breath. And if we just open up the artwork and take a look at it, we can immediately see, what is it, right? That one eye symbolism that you see so consistently, not just in his music, but anything that's tied into the occult. That one eye symbolism, I call it the one eye salute, is a huge nod to the occult and to Freemasonry, with the idea that the all-seeing eye, or the eye of Horus, can see all, and is essentially attributed to Lucifer. So seeing that, it immediately caught my attention, and then of course he has to come out with a music video for it. So let's skip through that and just see what the music video is all about. All right, so it kicks off with him walking into the sunset, looks like the city. If you remember from the past videos that I had done, one of the album kind of arcs that he did for his last project, I think Blinding Lights, was literally him coming out of the desert into Las Vegas, Sin City. And that same theme kind of was carried into the Super Bowl performance, where everything is very Vegas themed and Vegas based. So he's walking in the desert, walking to a city in the distance of a sunset, walking through a tunnel, singing, all the lights coming on around him, all black suit. He's got a new look. Walking into a club. A lot of this is kind of reminiscent on his past stuff as well. One of the things that you would always see in The Weeknd's previous videos is he always kind of goes to a destination. A lot of his videos take place in a club, and not even so much that he's performing in the clubs, but he's more like a spectator or a member within the club. Blinding Lights, also the previous album had that same kind of theme, and almost all of his videos, for the most part, there's some sort of club element or some sort of casino element. Like, he's always going somewhere, but he's never the attraction. He's always kind of in the background. I think that's kind of interesting. I wonder why they use that imagery so often. So we see him walking through. He spots someone, a girl that is interesting. She's chasing him down. They're gonna come together. The pressure is building. All right, they're dancing. This is something that happened as well on 2 albums ago. He came out with a short film where he went into a club. Someone was trying to kill him. He went into the bathroom. This person came up behind him, was going to kill him. And then a girl who he had spotted and made a connection with actually came and killed him. And then they end up going out on the dance floor and dancing together and like making this connection. It turns out she was like a panther or something. Really bizarre. I break it down in that video, which you can watch right here if you want to check that out. But essentially what it kind of, at least from the storyline and the arc, told me is that she was a familiar spirit, just like everything else that he had seen throughout the other music videos, where he's like almost in a way sleeping with this panther throughout the videos. It's very, very bizarre. But I would recommend checking that out. I wonder if we're gonna see something similar here. Maybe, maybe not. Let's check it out. All right, I'm gonna skip around a little bit. Okay, here's where it gets weird. He's walking into this room. They're all dancing in this weird kind of seance, and then she is in a bed. What is going on? Someone is being born out of this bed with all this black stuff. Are we saying this correctly? Looks like latex or something going on. Oh man, very, very bizarre stuff. Not surprising, right? Like, this is kind of the weird stuff. They go into this room, someone's being chained down in latex. I don't know what is happening here. Then he goes to this room with this girl and these other people. Very bizarre. There's like oxygen tanks in the background. She's giving him oxygen. I mean, I guess the song is called Take My Breath. Maybe that's the point. They're all wearing the oxygen masks. Okay. Okay, it looks like she kills him. Or he's taking the oxygen and he can't get enough. Okay. Another thing that's very common in The Weeknd's video, and I don't know why this is the case, but he's always like almost being killed or being attacked or being buried, or he kills himself, or someone's trying to take him down. It is a constant theme in his videos. Like, literally for every album, as far as I can remember, someone's either trying to kill him or successfully kills him. In one video, he's beheaded. In another video, he's brought back to life. In one video, he's burying himself. In another video, he gets set on fire. In another video, he gets like possessed. It's this constant thing where he's either like losing his mind or almost getting killed or getting beaten up. Very weird. And in this case, the girl is strangling him with her hair. Again, the song's called Take My Breath, so maybe that's kind of like the, I don't know, the point. Like, I don't know, it's some sort of weird BDSM thing. And he keeps sucking, trying to get the oxygen out of the oxygen tanks. Looks like he's reaching a breaking point. Maybe this is the climax of the song. And he's hyperventilating on the floor. Okay. Bizarre. Let's look at the lyrics. When I see stuff like this, it's always hard to kind of understand, and I don't have time to get into a really deep analysis here, but it's just weird, right? Like, take my breath away, and it shows like they're all on these oxygen masks. They walk into this room where this person is being suffocated, it looks like, from under this sheet, and then this girl with her long hair is choking him out. Let's see what the lyrics are saying. Okay. Okay, I saw the fire in your eyes. I saw the fire in your eyes. You tell me things you want to try. I know temptation is the devil in disguise. Okay. I know lyrics can be like interpreted a lot of ways, but we also see this very commonly with The Weeknd, that he's always referencing like the devil in some way, right? And maybe he's not referencing like this actual person, the devil, but he's always referencing temptation and sin. And right here we see it again. I know temptation is the devil in disguise. You risk it all to feel alive. You're offering yourself to me like a sacrifice. You said you do this all the time. this is like really charged up, powerful language, right? Even if I'm not necessarily like, a Christian or something like that, or interpreting this in that deep level, these are not lyrics that I want to say. That temptation is the devil in disguise. You offer yourself up to me like a sacrifice. In the Bible, we know that offerings and sacrifices were made to false gods all the time. And in fact, one of the greatest offenses was that these like heathen nations, or these evil nations that God would have his people war against, were often sacrificing their children, making them pass through the fire to these different gods like Molech. They would essentially sacrifice their firstborn to these different pagan gods. And you see this kind of being a common thing. And even in the New Testament, they talk about, eating food offered to idols as a sacrifice. So this idea of being offered as a sacrifice is really, really charged up language. And again, if you're not a Christian, maybe it's not as charged up to you, maybe it doesn't stand out. But just reading this from a Christian standpoint, that's really charged up language. It's like a dream what she feels to me. She loves to be on the edge. Her fantasy is okay with me. Then suddenly, baby, she says, take my breath away. Make it last forever. Do it now or never. Take my breath away. Nobody does it better. Bring me close to. So one of the things that I think is important as well when I read these lyrics, I take things a lot differently than maybe the average person. So I want to give that context there. But one of the things that defines a person or a human being or a soul is when you have the flesh with the breath of God, right? This is a very common understanding in scripture. At the beginning, when Adam was created, he was formed from the dust, and then God breathed his breath into him. So when I see things like take my breath away and make it last forever, what that says to me is some sort of implication, and whether the Weeknd is meaning this directly or not, but some sort of implication around the idea that taking the breath of life away and making it last forever. So eternal damnation. That's what stands out to me. Now, again, maybe people could say that's an extreme interpretation, but looking at this and just understanding it for what it is, immediately that's what stands out to me. And I'm not, always looking to dig super deep, but when I read that, I'm hit with it in real time. I'm not taking time to research this. So again, just kind of an interesting thing. Read through the rest of the verse. Want me to hold you tight, you pull me closer, feel the heat between your thighs. You're way too young to end your life. Girl, I don't want to be the one who pays the price. Interesting. You're way too young to end your life. Taking your breath away. I don't want to be the one who pays the price. Jesus paid the penalty for sin. And of course, those who do not accept that offering, that free offering, will pay the price and ultimately be destroyed. Oh, it's like a dream. This is the pre-chorus again. The chorus, take my breath away. And then the chorus again. Anyways, not a super deep song from a lyric or content standpoint, but some interesting takeaways for sure from what we're seeing right there. Another thing I kind of want to cover, which is related to music, but I think has a deeper overall kind of implication to it, is this fight with Britney Spears and her father and this company to end her conservatorship. Now, if you don't know the story, I'll give a quick background on it. Essentially, Britney Spears is in a legal fight with her father currently to end her conservatorship. And what does that mean? That means that when it comes to her career, her money, finances, her family, what she wants to do with her time, Britney Spears is in so many ways a slave to whatever the people that own her work and own essentially her career and guide it. So if her conservators say, hey, we need to have you go to Las Vegas and become a resident at this club, and you're gonna do performances 3 times a week, yada, yada, yada. We're gonna take 20% of that. Britney Spears in so many ways can't say no. And she recently appeared before a judge, I think about a month and a half ago, to actually fight this. So it's interesting to see that details are still coming out. And even today, I saw an article where she came out and said that she's become Catholic. I don't know what that really means in the grand scheme of things, but it's just interesting to me that on so many levels, you have a father fighting to maintain control of his child. And from an industry standpoint, you don't really hear a lot of uproar from artists. I haven't. I've heard an uproar from people, but I haven't heard a huge uproar from all these producers and artists that she's worked with over the years saying end this. And even they had a documentary came out called Free Britney. So just reading through this, I think it's kind of interesting. So one day after lawyer for Britney Spears asked the court to expedite the hearing whether to remove her father from the conservatorship that has long ruled her life, the singer's father defended his actions over the past 13 years in a court filing. So it looks like they filed the petition, and the father's lawyer fiercely opposed this particular removal from the conservatorship. So Mr. Spears has dutifully and faithfully served as the conservator of his daughter's estate without any blemishes on his record. What is going on here? He's making his daughter a slave. What is a blemish? She is telling you she doesn't want this. There's no blemish, there's no nothing. If you're concerned about your daughter's life and her health and her well-being, okay, I think there's an extent where maybe you try to like step in and intervene, but you're literally controlling her life. This idea that he's protecting her and not taking advantage of her, to me, is just ridiculous. But this is commonplace in the music industry, and you have so many examples of artists coming out and speaking against this, where they felt like they're slaves, they have no control. There was a huge battle with Kesha and this producer she was forced to work with, who she said raped her. The idea that people aren't freaking out about this is a little bit concerning. And I know there was an uproar at the time, but these things are still happening today. When I think about hip hop culture and music culture in general, a lot of it seems to me like modern day slavery. And I have another video as well about that you can watch here, where I break down why these artists essentially become slaves. And when you have famous artists like Michael Jackson, Prince, and even Kanye West coming out and speaking against these labels and these companies and what they're doing, I don't think it's any surprise. And I think we should really take that to heart with what they're saying and why they're saying it. So this stood out to me because it's just a crazy example of where people can have so much control and access over somebody's life who should be an independent adult. Britney Spears is like 40 years old, I believe. Why is her father controlling her life and her money down to the penny? Doesn't make any sense. The last thing I kind of want to get into is this whole controversy around DaBaby for his, I think, homophobic and I want to say transphobic. I don't want to misquote this here, but I know his homophobic slurs against like gay people when he was on stage at a particular festival. Something about like giving oral sex in the parking lot, something like that. He just made some dumb comments on stage, and right now he's getting canceled for it. Dua Lipa came out and spoke against it, said the person that was on this song is not the person I know. He's been dropped from a number of festivals. I think Kanye West pulled down a song that he was featured on recently. Ultimately, it's just interesting how as soon as he said something against the gay community, everyone dropped him like he was, dynamite, like he was kryptonite. They just all dropped him and backed away from him. Now, mind you, I don't have any dog in that fight. If they want to back away from him for those comments, I think they should. I think people should be held accountable. Other artists have been making comments like that for a long time. And obviously, when you're in the public light and you're in a particular space of culture, you can expect that you're going to get blowback for certain comments being made. Who knows what he was thinking when he was saying it? I don't think he's a homophobe. He was just speaking reckless. But I think the main point that I want to take away here is not so much about his comments on that, but more so how he's said so many other really foul, really grotesque things on other songs, and there was no blowback. There was no cancellation. There was no people pulling away from it. And I kind of want to just go over some of those with his top songs, just to kind of like, not so much tear this guy down any further, but kind of ask the question, why are we okay with some comments and why are we not okay with other comments? So let's dive into Rockstar. Now, Rockstar, I think, it's a pretty big song. One of the things, that stands out to me is just some of the comments he says, and maybe again, people don't really care. I don't know why, but let me just dive into some of these. So, going for buckets, I bought a chopper. I got a big drum, I hold 100, it ain't for nothing. Drum obviously being like a magazine for a gun. It's not for nothing. I'm ready to air it out. I can see him running. Scroll a little bit further down. You can see right here. She know what I do. She know before I run. I'm gonna pull it out and shoot. PTSD. I'm waking up in cold sweats like I got the flu. My daughter at G, she saw me kill before the age of 2. He's saying he killed someone in front of his daughter before the age of 2. Why are we not canceling that lyric? Why are we not canceling this? Like, I don't know how else, like that to me, and not to equate the two, but that to me is incredibly offensive. Like, that's a big no-no. I have a child. That's something I would never want to expose them to. And as far as I could tell, maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he's not, but that's just really grotesque. Maybe he might say, oh, I'm telling a story in the sake of the story. I don't know. And then he right here said, and I'll kill another two before I let do something to you, as long as you don't tell anybody different, daddy love you. Now, I don't think any sane person wants you to kill someone in front of them, let alone be pushed to the point where you would have to. That's just my thoughts, right? And I think we allow this kind of glorified violence and this glorified gun talk and mindset to pollute many young people and many people that listen to this music. I'm not saying everyone that listens is going to go out and shoot somebody. They probably won't. But many of them might treat people differently or might go in with this mindset that I don't give nothing. I'm going to do what I need to do to get by. I'm not a big fan of that. I think somebody should be canceled for that, right? Let's go through another song. I'm going to be editing out a lot of this because obviously I can't say this, right? I don't want to say this. So DaBaby was on a song with Meg Thee Stallion, and just incredibly vulgar. I won't even share the lyrics. They're so vulgar, but it's very degrading to women. He's saying the most ridiculous stuff about women. He's tearing down, in particular, it sounds to me, and it feels like to me, black women. Out of all the different women he could possibly tear down, shouldn't be doing in the first place. But black women, I don't understand. He's just disregarded. No values placed on them. No love is shown to them. These are daughters, wives, sisters, mothers. Why, oh why do we go out of our way to talk so terribly about the women that we claim to love and we want to uplift? And especially black women. I don't think this is something that he has a black woman on the song. I don't think this is something that should be said about anybody. So this is, again, real something that I don't like, and I think somebody should be canceled for it. The last couple of lyrics I'll talk about is DaBaby on Suge. So this is, again, one of those things, glorifying violence, glorifying killing people. This is glorifying a mindset that we should never glorify, never embrace, but we still do. So right here it says, the first one that play, I'ma body him. I just checked my balance. I'll probably pull up to your hood. You know that your girl told, I gotta censor so much of this as I'm talking. Don't get caught with your girl while I'm popping them both. So now they just like Bobby and Whitney. He's essentially saying that if he sees you with your girlfriend, you're both gonna get shot. Again, why are we glorifying this? Why are we glorifying this? Why is DaBaby, prior to this comment, the #1 artist in the world? All this can fly, but if he says something homophobic or transphobic, immediately canceled. I think he probably should have been canceled way earlier, and I think all these other artists talking about the same thing should have got the same treatment. So you call me extreme, whatever the case is, but that's the truth. Anyways, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. Again, this is FLF. I hope you enjoyed this video of me just reacting to some of these different things that are kind of happening in the culture right now. I think they're relevant. I want to release these a little bit more. Let me know what you think in the comments. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, click the bell for notifications, and stay tuned. Always and always be sure to support the channel. Share it with people when you can. If someone's going to get some value out of this, to see culture and hip hop through a Christian context. Also, if you like merchandise, there is links to different merchandise that I support in the links below. And also we sell our own hats and our own merchandise, and I list all the profits on each one so you can know how much you're actually supporting this channel. One of the things I don't want to do is get rich off of this. At the same time, when I'm able to commit more time to it, it's always great to be able to validate that time that I'm taking away from my business and my family. So thank you so much for your support. God bless, and be sure to flood light forever.